Ladies, gentlemen, and genetic anomalies, what's happening? It's not a newbie. Back again with yet another stream. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you guys have been able to survive me not streaming for almost 3 weeks straight in the midst of all of the political turmoil and chaos that has been unraveling across our nation. Maybe I'm overselling it a little bit. This is going to be a shorter stream because it is later in the evening, but I do want to hit on some of the bigger stories that have happened over the past few weeks. Like, for example, one thing I definitely want to make sure that I talk about is the presidential election that happened. So I am going to be hitting on that. I'll be talking about it more broadly. I probably will also do a separate segment specifically about one of the claims that Donald Trump made, because I do think that there is some relevant information in that department. I also kind of want to do a segment about like what it actually means to be woke. Part of it is because apparently the YouTube algorithm has been looking at my Not a Newbie highlights channel with favor, and as I ironically am posting lower quality content, I am getting more views. So, you know, as I'm getting views, I do want to make a video kind of talking about the whole like, oh, what does woke mean? You don't know what woke actually means, because that has kind of become a meme on the left, which is actually absurd and very silly once you look at it beyond surface level, or even like once you are looking at it like at surface level. So I kind of want to go through that because it does annoy me when people say that, because it's like, yeah, wokeness is definitely a thing. Everyone knows what wokeness is. So it's a little bit, you know, what's the best way to put it? It's insincere, I think. There is a synonym for that, but it's insincere to pretend that like wokeness is not a thing. So, but yeah, I do want to talk about all the stuff relating to all of those topics and things happening in American politics. One thing that is slightly frustrating me about how things in Congress are going with the looming government shutdown, but I think for that one I might want to wait until I have more like facts and evidence, because that's the type of thing where I'll want to like go through an article or show citations and stuff. One thing I do want to say, by the way, which is like relatively new to the streams, and I generally don't do this, but you know, follow my X account, because my X account, I have been cracking jokes on there and they're kind of funny. But yeah, no, on my X account, I don't use it super often, but I do, I do things like boost clips from like the news. I quote and be like, hey, like, isn't that the dude who called a black woman a gorilla because of the lengths of her arms? I'll do a video about that at some point. That's a big one. Yeah, just like, you know, reacting to various things that are happening in politics in a very bite-sized form. And some of these things I would not be opposed to turning into their own like fully fledged videos like this. The conspiracy theory about Kamala Harris wearing like a earpiece. I might do a video about that at some point. Not sure if I'll do a video about, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse allegedly being pushed back. And I don't think that I'll do a segment about this. I'm not going to do a segment about that. But yeah, I'm going to do, I'm posting stuff on X is basically my point. So go check that out if you like funny zeets, I guess. I don't know how you say it. Xeets? Yeah, zeets. I don't know. If you like funny zeets, go check that out. But there was this one story that I did want to talk about on the stream, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard the news by now of Tim Pool, how Tim Pool and a bunch of other right-wing commentators were caught up in this big scandal involving the Tenet Media Group. It was a podcast network, and I say was because they've effectively stopped all of their activities. But Tenet Media was a network of right-wing personalities who were, spreading their message on YouTube, on podcasting platforms. They sort of like banded together and sort of made the Avengers of right-wing political commentary. Well, the scandal came to light because I think Lauren Chen and her husband conspired with people from Russia Today to fund the media network. Now, if you're not familiar with Russia Today, it's literally a Russian propaganda site. Oh, hold on, I forgot to turn on the text there. Oh yeah, wrong text. Hold on, where is it? There we go. Okay. But it's literally a Russian propaganda outlet. And so, now we have the situation where a whole bunch of right-wing personalities were literally getting paid by the Russian government. So a lot of people are saying, oh, these people are Russian spies. Well, it turned out that the DOJ was like, well, no, these people were victims because they actually didn't know that they were being funded by the Russian government. Now, it's unclear as to whether or not the government thinks that Lauren Chen knew that they were Russians that they were dealing with. It seems to me like she did, because I think that some of the allegations were that Lauren Chen deceived the other individuals in creating the network. I do think it's also telling that if you go to Lauren Chen's page on X, like actually, Lauren Chen, if I go to her page, yeah, she has been dead silent since all of this news came out. As has Tenet Media. Like if you go to Tenet Media's page, Tenet Media has also been absolutely silent. So I think that sort of shows that there's either some guilt or some sort of investigation going on. And of course, with those types of things, speaking out publicly could most certainly damage any ongoing cases that you've got. So there's a possibility that she was the culprit there. Now, this hits home for me because I personally am a fan of Tim Pool and Timcast IRL specifically. Like, I love that show. Now, I don't listen to it all the time. I don't listen to it every single day. I don't even listen to entire episodes most of the time because, hey, people get busy. And this dude makes like 2, 4, 6 hours of content on any given day of the week. So, I'm not going to sit around and consume all of that content. Also, when I'm working and things, I prefer to listen to like talk radio or something through audio, because if I have something that has video, like it's nice, but it can be a little bit distracting. So I prefer talk radio over political commentary while I'm working for that reason. So that also is a reason why I don't watch as much Tim Pool as I potentially could. But all of that said, I am going to keep on watching Tim Pool. And part of the reason is that if you go back to the foundations of Tenet, the formation of Tenet, I was watching Tim Pool even before then. And he has not changed his rhetoric and he has not changed his narrative. So to me, it's like, hey, maybe they were like, oh, these people, are spreading a message that is similar to our cultural values or political values, but probably cultural values, I would imagine. These people are spreading messages that are synonymous or at least in some way similar to our own cultural values. And I would like to make sure that these outlets continue to make this content and get that message out. So they went ahead, paid the people to make Tenet Media, and then they just keep on doing what they're doing. That would not shock me if that's what happened. Now, if Tim Pool had changed his tune on Russia or Ukraine, or if he started, all of a sudden making it seem like we should have some sort of authoritarian-ish, approaches to tackling the culture wars, kind of like what like Ron DeSantis has done down in Florida, then I would be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, this dude is taking a turn for the worst. I'm not going to continue to support him as fervently as I do. But I saw none of those hints. He just continued to put out the same type of political commentary that he usually does. And I'm okay with that, right? Just give me more of what I like. I'll take it gladly. So I'm not going to stop watching Tim Pool, even though he is a Russian asset, as they might say, because his content hasn't changed. I don't think that they hijacked his values or made him into some sort of puppet. That doesn't seem to be what happened. Now, when it comes to Tenet Media, though, I will say Tenet Media always seemed a little bit strange. So, like, am I surprised? Not really, because here's the thing. And I'm surprised at how few people kind of like have been talking about this. But usually when there's a podcast network that comes out, especially when it has high profile personalities on it, there will be a sort of marketing push. There'll be a lot of people saying, yo, we're launching this new thing. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic. We're launching it in 1 month. Go ahead, subscribe to the YouTube channel, sign up for all of the RSS podcasts or whatever. We're going to be launching soon. It's going to be epic. We've got all these personalities on here. Come on, it's going to be great. Usually that's what you see. Or you'll see some sort of announcement from the media network saying, hey guys, we're launching. This is going to be our content portfolio. Please enjoy. Something like that. Or it'll just be one guy saying, hey, I'm going to be making a show for this network. I hope you guys watch it because it's going to be great. None of that is what took place with the creation of Tenet Media. I was literally so confused when Tenet Media became a thing because I only knew about it maybe like 1 or 2 months after it came out because there was no announcement, at least from the Tim Pool side, who I think Tim Pool is probably one of the most popular people on that network. But there was no announcement. I was like, this is kind of strange. And I went to the website, and the website didn't list like a CEO or someone running the company. So I was like, that also is a little bit odd. Like if you go to like the Daily Wire's website, I'm quite sure that it will mention that Jeremy Boring is the CEO of the Daily Wire. And am I the biggest fan of the Daily Wire? Not necessarily, but they kind of show like a blueprint of what being on a network is like. If someone joins your network, you announce it. If someone leaves your network, you announce it. That's how these things are usually done. I didn't see any of that happening with Tenet Media. Now, I could have missed something, or maybe Tim Pool was the only person not to say anything about the formation of Tenet Media. I was actually confused as like to ownership as well. I was like, well, maybe Tim Pool started it. But even then, that wouldn't make sense because that would be under like the SENR network, and he has other shows that aren't on Tenet Media, never were. Even shows hosted by other people like Pop Culture Crisis and Gamer Maids. So, I was like, that's a little bit odd. It's a little bit strange. But now that this news has come up, it explains why there was no, front-facing transparency as far as who owned the network or why it was created or how it even came to be. Everything makes sense now. Everything is all crystal clear. So, I know a lot of people don't follow podcast networks, so maybe that did, catch them off guard and they weren't paying attention to signals like that. But for me, it's like, it was always strange. It was always a little bit shady, but hey, none of that's going to keep me from watching Tim Pool's content. None of that's going to stop me from being a fan of Timcast IRL. I will continue to stand the creepy, the dodgy, the sketchy Russian asset. Oh my goodness. That would be a fun moment if it got clipped. Oh, hold on. What's this? Actually, I did see that Tim Pool was reacting to this on Timcast IRL moments ago. Hold on. Wait. What's this?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that...
Wait. Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. So this is by Megaphonics. If I go to Megaphonics' page, did he... Oh. Bro's hiding. Yeah, he got mad because this blew up, apparently. That's what they were saying on Timcast IRL, at least. But I want to react to this. Actually, I'm not going to blow it up in full screen because it looks so bad anyways. But, bro, look at this.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. Yeah. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. They're eating the dogs.
Yo, this is fire.
They're eating the dogs.
Yo, Hassan screaming makes for like a perfect ad-lib.
And this is what's happening.
Bro, this is gold. This is gold. Bro.
There have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is...
The people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from television.
And by the way, we'll get into reacting to the presidential debate at a later date. When I have time to do like a multi-hour stream, I most definitely will be reacting to the presidential debate. So those of you who are my political fanboys and fangirls and I don't know, fan genetic anomalies, don't you despair. I will be reacting to that at some point.
Television saying the dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that.
They're eating the dogs.
Oh, they got the Pepe. Bro, they got Pepe.
Eating the dogs.
Bro. What? This is good. Oh, man.
People on television.
This is great. This is great. I don't...
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating. People on television say my dog was taken.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. That's funny. Yo, the fact that he's getting mad that it's blowing up is pretty funny, because like if you're not going to want like left wing or right wingers to like your content, you know, then you're only going to appeal to like a certain sector of the American population. Bro said, I am a socialist, not a conservative. It's fine. Like, it's not bad that right wingers like your song. If anything, it shows how good of a song maker and meme maker you are. So like the fact that this dude is getting all bent out of shape is hilarious. Ah, man. But hey, I mean, this dude is in like Hassan Piker's community, so like, should we be surprised? Maybe not. Oh, DJ L in the chat said, I supported Kamala's 2024 campaign before it was even a thing. Yes, this is true. This is true. I didn't even put this all together. But I was looking at my X account, and then DJ L in my Discord noted that I had used a message, me responding to a message that she sent into the Discord saying Harkonnen Harris 2024. I forget who Harkonnen is. Maybe Harkonnen's like a horror movie character or something. She watches like horror movies, I think. But she said Harkonnen Harris 2024 in like February of 2023, like a year and a half ago. She was supporting Kamala Harris for president. Not Joe Biden, but Kamala Harris. So I thought that was kind of funny. That's a nice little, bread gang deep cut there. If you want more deep cuts, join the Discord. You'll be in all the inside jokes. But yeah, I did think that was funny. But here, look. One thing I wanted to talk about the whole presidential debate before I do a reaction stream or whatever is this little fact. So there was a moment during the debate where Donald Trump talked about migrants who were allegedly eating dogs, eating cats, eating various pets, eating ducks. And I think he mentioned Springfield, Ohio specifically. And then he got fact checked by David Muir of ABC News saying that there were no credible reports of pets being eaten by Haitian migrants, because it was the rumors that they were all Haitians who were doing this. And there's been some debate about this because that comes on the heels of actual accusations of Haitians running around killing animals and or cooking them outside. Like I've seen multiple videos of people at town council meetings in Springfield saying, hey, we've got these migrants running around here, pulling roadkill off of the side of the road and like skinning it so that they can eat it. We've got people running around eating dogs, people running around eating cats, people running around eating ducks and geese and all these animals just brazenly out in public. Now, I don't think any of those have sort of like risen to the level of criminal investigations. So that makes it difficult to fact check some of these things, because if you call the police, you can have like body cam footage or whatever that sort of exonerates you when you make claims like that. Right now, it's just people saying this has happened. I don't think that any of these things have been investigated and proven to be true, even though you can see some footage of, people killing creatures or cooking a creature outside. Like I think 30 minutes ago, I saw some video where a migrant was allegedly cooking some dog on the sidewalk. Now, I don't know if that was real. I don't know if that was legit. It seemed like it was posted by someone who would not necessarily care to give me the source if they wished. But I will say that I spoke, well, maybe not audibly, but I messaged the person who posted the original Haitian walks around with a dead duck image in Springfield, Ohio. Now, yes, I did verify that the original source of this did come from Reddit. Actually, there are news articles that say that the picture originally came from Reddit. But the picture, first of all, was not from Springfield. It was from Columbus, Ohio, first of all. And second of all, the person who took the picture actually doesn't know what was necessarily happening. He didn't know why that person killed the Canadian goose. Didn't know whether or not he meant to eat the goose or not. Didn't know how the goose was killed. It's a goose, by the way, not a duck. But also, he told me, I thought that he was Somalian. I never thought at first that he was Haitian. So on that one, that one might not be what people think it is. But one thing that's interesting is, while all this is getting, fact checked by all the highbrow people in the mainstream news media who are trying to take down Trump or whatever, which I have my own conspiracy theory about that. I actually think the opposite's happening, but we could talk about that in a future stream, or in a future video. We could talk about that. However, while all of these stories are happening, right, talking about all of these Haitian migrants running wild, guess what happens? Oh, look at this. Look at this. Ohio is sending troopers and $2.5 million to a city that has seen an influx of Haitian migrants. The governor of Ohio will send law enforcement and millions of dollars in healthcare resources to the city of, put on your thinking caps, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe take a few guesses, a few hints as far as like what city this might be headed towards, which city is getting these resources, what city is getting these millions of dollars. Oh, it's the city of Springfield. Well, that's interesting. Why are they sending people to Springfield? Why are they sending money to Springfield? Everything over there is perfectly fine. Everything there was perfectly fine. The migrants over there aren't being violent. The migrants aren't running around killing animals in broad daylight. They're not doing all of these crazy things. So why are they sending all of these resources over into Springfield? Well, we see a little bit of it here in this next paragraph. It says Republican Ohio Governor Mike DeWine said Tuesday he doesn't oppose the temporary protected status program under which some 15,000 Haitians have arrived in the city of about 59,000 people since 2020, but said the federal government must do more to help impacted communities. So this city has received an influx of migrants. Now, there are some people who like to assume that all migrants are wild and violent and uncivilized. That's not true. You've got some people who are nice and normal, and some people who are wild and reckless. If you want to, maybe get a more balanced view, maybe it's not like the most balanced video that you'll ever see, because I think that he does, I think that he does sort of lean more towards the, maybe I don't know, being kinder to the. I don't know if being kinder to the immigrants is the word, but he does lean more towards the thing of, we don't need to be worried about immigrants thing aside, rather than being like, oh, they're good and bad immigrants or whatever. But if you watch this video called "Is This Even True?" he reacts to a video I think that PBS News did, where they interviewed some people who were Haitians who were settling in Springfield, and what were they doing? They were actually going to church, and not just going to church, serving in the church, like working on the AV and doing stuff like that. So clearly, there are definitely some good migrants here in this bunch of Haitians, and they're not all being all wild and crazy. Now, it is also fair to point out, though, that there are 15,000 of them. So when you add so many people from a foreign land, especially one that has wildly different laws, different regulations, and different culture, you are going to see some incongruency, and some of that is unfortunately going to lead to some wild things happening, things you might not expect. And I actually looked this up because here's the thing to me, okay? Especially as someone who's pro-life, it can make for a meme moment when Donald Trump says they're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats. It might even tug on your heartstrings a little bit. I know for me, I'm a cat person, so I wept slightly when I heard him utter those words. However, I think that there's a much more serious thing going on with all of this, all these migrants coming into the country unchecked. I mentioned, by the way. I'm completely fine with immigrants. I think immigrants are fine to have, and I think they've been not a backbone of our country, but they have certainly been a part of the American tradition dating back to decades, right? Where you just bring in migrants into your country, you graft them into your culture and you assimilate them, and then they help your country grow. And sometimes they add valuable parts from their own cultures and they bring that into the American culture. But that's not always the case. Now, I wanted to look up a montage of, people running through migrant crime stories to show on stream, because I know that there have been a lot of terrible things happening when it comes to migrants in America, especially I would say in New York, because New York loves to do catch and release with migrant criminals. Some migrant rapes somebody and then they're like, oh, we'll just let you out. We're not going to press charges because the DAs don't want to press charges on black people because they want to help balance out inequality. They want to balance out the inequality in the criminal justice system, and that's a whole conversation for another day. But I couldn't even find a montage. Do you know why? Because so many crimes have happened, it would take forever to do a proper montage of all the crimes. We could just look at some of these headlines here. Florida sees uptick in migrants committing violent crimes. Several migrants arrested in citywide crime spree. Migrant crew, including 11-year-old behind Central Park crime surge, NYPD. A lot of this is from New York City. To be fair, New York City does not handle criminals well. There's Central Park. New York Post not New York Post. New York Post. And NYPD blames migrant crew for Central Park crime surge. Now, I am going to say this though. I think this is entirely fair, that when it comes to violence, migrants are not the only, perpetrators of these crimes, even when it comes to eating the cats and dogs, because the cat story came from a real life story of a black woman who was eating a cat, basically alive. Like she had killed the cat, she was laying with it, and she was eating the cat. I think the body was actually still warm, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is, she's actually an American citizen. We also have stories of American citizens committing crimes in New York and being released as well. So this is not just a, oh, look at all these migrants. These migrants are running wild and reckless and killing people with impunity. Now, to be fair, that actually is a thing that's going on, and that's one reason why we do need to stem the illegal immigration situation and get some of these illegal immigrants out of the country. Not all of them, because I think I mentioned before that I do support a form of amnesty where it's like, hey, if you're in the country, we'll let you go through a process to get legalized while you're here. But if you commit a crime, you're out. Because I think the majority of migrants actually are peaceful. But it's just that you have so many that eventually you're going to have a lot of criminals here into this country. But just crime in general is something that is not taken care of well in a lot of American cities. So we need to get DAs replaced legally. I'm not advocating for any sort of violence. Don't get it twisted. But we need to get like DAs and judges replaced so that the people who are caught by the police actually go to jail and get sentenced, because it's demoralizing for them. Some of these police officers, people often look at the police officers who refuse to arrest criminals such as these, and they're like, oh, why aren't you release it? Why aren't you stopping them? Why aren't you apprehending these people? Well, they probably know that the DA is just going to let the person walk anyway. So it's a waste of time to go and arrest these people if they know that those people are going to be let loose. Donald Trump was very inaccurate with that claim, and I will talk more about that at length when I react to the entire debate. But still, migrant crime is a massive issue that needs to be managed and that needs to be taken care of. Kamala Harris wants to cackle and laugh all the live long day about how it's not an issue at all and that all the migrants are fine and we need to have even more migrants from Haiti come into the country. But it seems like we can't handle the migrants who are already here. So it doesn't seem like that's something that we should necessarily be prioritizing, bringing these people in, because we need to take care of our own who are already here and protect them from the people who are already violent, causing havoc in this country. DJLL actually has something to say about this. DJLL says, I lived in a neighborhood where there was migrants. Haven't we all? This is America. Yeah, I mean, there are migrants everywhere, so like that doesn't shock me. I was neighbors with a sweet Brazilian woman, and I was friends with a little girl whose dad was from Ethiopia. Bro, I will say, people from Ethiopia are lit. They're like really cool people from Ethiopia. Like, bro, we probably could serve to assimilate some of the stuff from their culture. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Ethiopians are great. They're pretty cool. DJL said, also, I never had a bad experience with said neighbors. I mean, yeah, that's cool. Not everyone is as lucky as you. Some people get bullets in the side of their heads. I mean, I'm glad that's not you, but like, I'm just saying that's not everyone's experience. Remember the story of Laken Riley? I think Laken Riley was killed by a migrant, right? Yeah, hold on. Here it is. This is literally from Senate.gov. DHS confirms Lindsey Graham, Laken Riley murder suspect, illegally paroled into U.S. Yeah, paroled. Not just illegally in the country, but paroled. Not arrested, not deported, paroled. It is insane. And this is specifically why we need to vet people who come to the country. Like, look, Kamala Harris was on video bragging about bringing 100,000 Haitians into the country. We can bring 100,000 Haitians into the country. That's perfectly fine. But we need to vet the people who come in. I would like to make sure, just make sure that all the people who are coming in are not gang members or they're not violent. If you're not a gang member, you're not violent, and you are of working age and you're willing to to work a job and stuff, by all means come in. By all means come in. We are not ready. We're not on the brink of overpopulation or overcrowding as of yet. We have space for some people. Now what we don't have space for is Venezuelan crime gangs running around taking over apartment complexes. That's what we don't have space for. But if you're peaceful, if you're like DJLL Reacts neighbors, by all means, come into the country. I would love to have you here. But I'm glad that Donald Trump is probably going to take care of this when he becomes president. I'm pretty sure he's going to win the election. We'll see. But yeah. So a couple things I wanted to talk about before I wrap the stream up, because there were a couple subjects that I did want to tackle. But one is this, and it's going to be basically my concise thoughts about the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen the debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. If you haven't, I don't know if I can recommend it to you, because if I'm going to be honest, nobody did a good job. Donald Trump did not do great. Kamala Harris did not do great. And the moderators did worse than both of them. So kind of a tough sell, to be like, hey, go watch this debate where everyone is doing horribly. And it's a little bit sad to see because Donald Trump is clearly the person, at least in my eyes, clearly the person with the policies that will, enhance and improve the country. Especially when it comes to taking care of crime, when it comes to keeping our nation safe, when it comes to border security, all of that stuff. That's the type of thing. Also foreign affairs, right? Foreign affairs when it comes to keeping our enemies at bay. Donald Trump is going to probably do a good job when it comes to all that stuff. If you stick to the issues, it's very clear that Donald Trump is the winner. However, once you start looking beyond that, even slightly to the periphery, and you notice some of the rhetoric, Donald Trump does say some questionable things, or he says things that are true, but he says them in a questionable way. And we saw a lot of that we see that usually mostly on Truth Social, but we also saw that during the debate. And even if he said all of the things that I say, they're edgy or they're off the walls, even if he said all those things, I think it would have been fine. But I think one thing that hurt him as well was the fact that he seemed largely unfocused when he spoke. He actually made the same mistake that Joe Biden made in his last debate, where he, I guess, if he was a Democrat, then everyone would be saying, oh, he over-prepared. But what Donald Trump would do is he'd be asked one question, and then Donald Trump would answer 3 questions, and sometimes he would include the question that he was asked, which was not great. It was kind of sad to see, especially because we've seen Donald Trump at his best. He did incredible in the 2016 debates. And I think we all knew that he was sort of going to softball Joe Biden because he didn't want to, pummel a dude with dementia. But there was no excuse with the Kamala debate because, you had the same amount of time to prepare as Kamala Harris did, right? You had months. So, and also you had another debate where Kamala Harris was ostensibly supposed to show up a week before. So Trump could have prepared for that as well. So it's you should have had your talking points before you stepped on the stage. But it just seemed like Trump got so distracted. He wanted to talk about so many things that were outside of the scopes of the questions that he asked. It made him seem a little bit unhinged. When it comes to the rhetoric, Donald Trump didn't do great, especially because the longer the debate went on, the angrier he seemed to get. Now, I think the one saving grace was that the things that he got angry with weren't necessarily the fake news media, weren't necessarily him getting called names or whatever. It wasn't even necessarily him getting politically targeted for running against Joe Biden and now Kamala Harris, but really just being politically targeted for being Trump and running for president. But it was over stuff like the migrant crime, where if you talk to the people who have to suffer through the aftermath of some of this violent migrant crime, they're angry about this too. So it sort of shows some empathy there when you see how angry Donald Trump got. But still, I think a lot of people, especially people who pay attention to the mainstream media or they get most of the news from CNN and stuff, or MSNBC, they're going to probably come away with those types of emotional responses from Donald Trump with the impression of, he was just unhinged. He was all over the place. He was, just acting like a crazy person. But, it'd be one thing if he behaved that way and then Kamala Harris did great. But Kamala Harris did not. I think it didn't help that she lied for a good portion of the debate. But to be fair, whether or not you tell the truth doesn't have any bearing as to whether or not you actually win a debate. It's just whether or not you're convincing enough. My thing with Kamala Harris is she seemed too rehearsed. It seemed like she was reading a pre-prepared speech every time she answered a question. A lot of her emotional reactions were fake. Like her going like this is probably going to be a meme for years to come, just because it came off as so strange, unearnest, and insincere. So so that didn't help. But it also didn't help that she was like smirking and smiling while the topic of migrant crime was showing up. And I understand from a strategic perspective, I think she was supposed to come off as like laughing at Donald Trump's incredulous claims. But it's a serious issue, and it's not a good look to sort of be laughing while we're talking about death and destruction in the country of America. Well, now I'm doing it, but like, you know what I mean. In a forum like this, it just doesn't make you look good. She actually reminded me of the Disaster Girl. I don't know if you're familiar with the Disaster Girl. Here, I'll pull up the picture of the Disaster Girl. Disaster Girl. Yeah, she looks like the Disaster Girl out here. Like, Kamala Harris is out here in the front and we're living in the house. And she's like, oh, isn't it great? Don't you want me to save your house? And everyone's like, bruh, dude, you're not the one, man. You're not the one. So I think that this debate really was a wash. And also, when it comes to the moderators, I now see why Donald Trump was warning about the ABC News being so biased against him, because both moderators were just terrible. First of all, the questions they chose were relatively softball questions. They didn't really get to the nitty gritty of like a whole lot of a wide range of political topics. Like usually in most debates, you'll talk about like multiple things. You'll talk about the economy. You'll talk about healthcare. You'll talk about foreign affairs. You'll talk about taxes. You'll talk about cultural issues. Even like stuff that goes beyond all of that. But I think maybe half of those topics, or maybe 3/4 of those topics, were discussed during the debate. I just didn't like that. I thought that wasn't great. And also, the fact checking was horrendous, because they fact checked Trump, and I don't think they fact checked Kamala Harris at all, even on things that she had said that had been debunked like months in advance, when it's not like a thing where like, oh, I guess ABC News just didn't know the facts on that one. Kind of like with like the whole pets thing, because ABC News was out here acting like it had been verified and proven that Haitians aren't running around killing pets, when we don't know. And there are probably like cases where they just haven't gone to the police. So of course there wouldn't be a police report of that. Yeah, it was just, they were just like letting things slide with Kamala Harris that were just like unbelievable. And I understand if you're going to do fact checking to push back on some of the things that Trump said, because he wasn't accurate on some of the things that he said. Although I personally don't think that there should be fact checking in the debates at all, because it's essentially the debates, the debate moderators and organizers telling the audience, hey, you're bad if you agree with this person is saying. So I don't like the fact checking of the debates, because, hey, you can get the fact checking after the debates. But Harris was just allowed to say so many things that were not true. And she was given like a lot of questions that didn't really challenge her, when there are a lot of weaknesses of her, like as a candidate. Like, for example, the process of her becoming a nominee for president. Like, you know, how can voters be sure that you've actually earned your spot as the VP pick when the people didn't vote for you to be the nominee for president? And also, your previous presidential campaign crashed and burned, and the only reason that you are a vice president right now is literally because of the shape of certain body parts that you have in your skin color. This, as admitted by Joe Biden. So, like, you know, that's a fair question to be like, how can voters be sure that you are the best person to run the country when you know, you weren't necessarily picked based on merit? Yeah, like questions like that should have been asked during the debate, and they just weren't. So that just kind of contributed to the debate just not being very good. Now, we do have the news coming out that Donald Trump is not going to participate in future debates, and honestly, I think that's mostly because he has been, well, that's a whole conversation for another day. I'm actually going to cut it off here because I am running up against a hard break. I've got to sign off, actually, which is a shame because I see Merely here in the chat, unfortunately. Which, by the way, Merely, it's nice to see you in the chat. I will be doing more streams, I think, soonish. I don't think I'll stream tomorrow, but I might stream tomorrow, Saturday night. I might stream Sunday night. We'll see. One of those 2 nights I'll stream. But yeah, in one of those streams, I'll probably talk about the debates more. I'll probably also react to the debate at some point within the next week or 2. I might get into why I think Donald Trump isn't going to be in any future debates, or at least why he doesn't want to do any more future debates. I think that if you look at the previous debates that he's done this year, it makes sense, but I don't know if many people are thinking about that, so I might go ahead and spell that out for y'all. Let me read some of these chat messages before I wrap the stream up. DJL says, this meme is so funny to me. Oh, the Disaster Girl. Yeah, the Disaster Girl meme is pretty funny. Maybe that should be an emote in my Discord server. Click the link on my screen if you're not in the Discord server. Join the Discord and send in suggestions for what emojis I should add to the server. Merely says, hey chat. Hi Merely. I'm a little late and have been for a while, but school isn't fun. Oh, bro. Who said school isn't fun? Bro, the only schools that are supposed to be fun are just like the party schools. So if you're not going to a party school, then I mean, maybe not rip, but like you knew what you were getting yourself into. If I remember it correctly, you're still in grade school. You're not college age. So but college is better than grade school, I think, at least. Well, who am I to say? I was homeschooled. Like, bro, I can't speak to the grade school experience. I'm gonna shut up. My goodness, I'm like a double amputee. I have no leg to stand on when it comes to that. Merely said my social battery can't take all that. An introvert, I see. Can't relate. Unfortunately, but actually, I'm not gonna say unfortunately. I like having friends. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the stream today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next stream. I don't know when my next stream is, but you can by clicking the link on the screen, joining the Discord, and you will get updates as far as when I will be live. And also follow my account on X if you're like addicted to Twitter or something, and you'll see me in your feed rarely, occasionally, maybe once a day. But I will be there in some way, shape, or form. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I will see you guys later. Peace out.